All right, so what's going on, y'all? Peace, man. Here we are, right? If you guys are not familiar with Corinne Bailey Ray, or Corrine Bailey Ray, however you pronounce her name, I don't want to slander it. She's actually a phenomenal singer and talent, right? And this one right here is going to be called the Enchantment Review, because there is a song on her first album that goes along with the album covers and a few themes that I can get across in terms and in relation to Project MK Ultra, Project Monarch, or Project Bluebird, whatever you want to call it, right? Because these were all names that were kind of synonymous for the mind control program, conducted by the CIA. So, of course, a lot of times it sounds like a reach, but because I have really good access to information, I felt, why not do this one? And also, too, I'm going to also use this as a backdrop to another video that I'm doing, and which will be a movie review on American Ultra, which has to do in relation to the same thing. So it's going to tie in, and I'm going to also use certain movie clips, probably into the second part of this video. But once again, what I wanted to do is use this album right here and who she is, just to go in depth and detail and to get a certain theme across to you guys, on how you can even pick out certain, artists or certain plants, whatever you want to call them, and things of that nature. People that were, raised in a programming. There are going to be certain themes, once again, that you guys, if you understand how the entertainment industry works, right? There are going to be a few things that you're going to be able to pick out as far as imagery, as far as how people decide to dress, and even the signs and hand gestures and handshakes that they use with others. But this is one thing that I've already spoken on the podcast, and I think probably I have a video on it, similarly with the Sukiyana video. So I'm just going to be using this album, and I'm going to be going into detail on who she is, and also the song called Enchantment, once again, which was on her first album. All right, here we are with the other album cover, right? The Corinne Bailey Ray album cover. Now, with the last one, there was a certain theme going on. I don't know if you guys paid attention, and also too with the hand gesture that she's throwing up. This is a son of the mother goddess. Once again, so at least these are certain things that you can tell or that you can see if you really pay attention or if you understand how the entertainment industry works. And once again, one thing that you can see as far in this picture with the last one that coincides is the way that she draws her name. You also see the butterfly, which was in the last picture, and you see the picture on the right as well with the ukulele, right? So there's a theme going on with the butterfly. Once again, at the beginning, I said there's a few synonymous names for the mind control program, which is Project Bluebird. And I've told you guys, that there are signs and images that they tend to use to speak to the elite. As you guys can see, she has the butterfly. Let me zoom in real quick. As you guys can see, she has the butterfly there. And the way that she writes her name, you see she has the B written as a 6, and connected to the C and the B, you see the red ribbon, which has to do with the black mass. So also, even with the last picture as well, you can see it coincides as well as the picture on the right. She still kind of has, like, at least to me, it tells me that she was under the the Project Bluebird, which is why there's a song called Enchantment, or why I'm using the song Enchantment to do the breakdown on this once again. And even with the butterfly, what the butterfly signifies is, and what the what the monarch butterfly is referred to as in the context of the royal nobility. So it refers to, once again, a monarch butterfly. So a person who's been under the programming of electroshock therapy, they allegedly have a feeling of lightheadedness. So they say it feels like one's floating like a butterfly. So, it's also, symbolic or representation pertaining to the transformation or metamorphosis, of the butterfly, going from the caterpillar to a cocoon, or from dormancy to inactivity to a butterfly, which is a new creation, which also is going to return to its point of origin. So, meaning, and if it were to migrate and leave the family, it will be able to make its way back home or to the handlers, you know, and there wouldn't necessarily be a pattern left behind for the children to follow or to even know. So it kind of makes it unique because they also refer to them as like $1 million children and $1 million creations. So there's a little bit of cultic symbolism when it comes to, the true meaning of what goes inside or what it goes into as far as, the imagery that they use to get certain points across. And once again, she writes it almost like a child, and the pictures and drawings are almost as of a child too, because a lot of the times they have been raised in a programming and they have certain altars, and they also have certain fragmentations in their mind or spirits of little children still, because they never were, necessarily given a chance to actually become children or actually be able to, live out. They were never able to live out being an actual child, So what it refers to is also like a psyche, both the soul and the butterfly. So allegedly, human souls become butterflies while searching for reincarnation. Okay, now, once again, this is the special edition, as you guys can see, of the Corrine Bailey Rae album. This is another album cover, and with the same thing that you can see, at least for me, is the butterflies you guys can see, right? And you see the same little drawing, at least the other half of the drawing in the bottom left half corner. Same with her name, you see the 6 with her name and things of that nature. But one thing that stands out as far as the way that her name is drawn, not only is there a 6, once again, how she always puts it as a 6, even with the picture on the bottom left, right, as well as the butterfly and the font, the way that she chooses to make her name and things of this nature is almost childlike, like a little girl drew this or a child drew this, because once again, the fragmentation of the mind also happens when they're raised in the programming, due to electroshock therapy and things of this nature. They're never were able to live out the fantasies or actually just have a regular childhood, once again, because they were raised in a programming. At least this is what it says to me. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into context on the song. Once again, the song Enchantment. And then we're going to go in detail on part 2 on who she is, right, and why it makes sense to me, at least, that she was, from not necessarily the Project Bluebird, but, she's, a piece from that stock or whatever you want to call it, right? So now, before I go into the song real quick, I just wanted to look up the definition of the song Enchantment. So as we can see, it's a noun, a feeling of great displeasure, or a feeling of great pleasure and delight, right? Similar words would be magic or witchcraft or sorcery, right? 2, the state of being under a spell or magic. And if you haven't already, you need to go listen to this song, man. Not even just the song. This is actually a great album. It's a wonderful song. A lot of the times, art does imitate reality. Yes, it is art, but art imitates reality. So, anyways, it starts off right. She's saying, "I'll wait for you. I don't know why. All I know is I can't hide. At this temperature, you can take over my mind." So clearly this song is about being in love, right? Or is it? Because the song is called Enchantment, or being under a spell. And to me, this is the song is about her handler, right? The song is about her handler or her boyfriend at the time, who was her husband, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to get in that in the part 2. And it says, "Like gossamer you softly touch. He draws me in, I'm powerless. He possesses an enchantment. So when he draws her in, she's powerless. She can't control herself, of course. because he possesses an enchantment. It goes on to say, tell me I'm forgiven. This is the hook. Tell me I'm forgiven. He calls, don't know how I fell under his spell. Lately, I've been driven. He smiles, an enchantment. Right? So clearly, once again, she's alluding to her being in love, all right, like being under, what they call love, which is a spell, which is why I tell you, we also tell you, brothers, falling in love is like being under a spell. That's literally what it is, because you're idolizing your partner. You're holding them on a pedestal, right? And to an extent, it's low-level mind control and even Satan worship, and which is what mind control is based in. But I'm kind of getting off topic. So it goes on to say in the second verse, I'll wait for you. I'm mesmerized. This love is like a potion in a disguise. I tightrope walk with a blindfold on my eyes. So anything, clearly she's talking about doing anything right for this man who happens to be her handler. I can't escape, or so it seems. I'd run away. He's in my dreams. He possesses an enchantment. What is she talking about, man? It's kind of obvious, at least to me, that why she's so in love with this person is she can't get away. She can't, escape, is because he's her handler. And once again, we're gonna see why I say this even more, because I'm gonna have to do a follow-up on this shit, man. Because a lot of you dudes, man, y'all niggas, you're big into conspiracies, man. I'm the conspiracy theorist. Like, yeah, bro, like, if that's what you want to call it, even though I know you niggas don't know what the fuck you're talking about, because the word conspire just means to have a plan. So, anyways, she goes on to say, in the hook, again, tell me I'm forgiven. He calls, don't know how I fell under his spell. Lately, I've been driven. He smiles, an enchantment. It's the kind of, now this is where the song gets crazy too, like the breakdown and everything. Once again, it's a beautiful fucking song. Anyway, it's the kind of sleepwalk that never ends. A type of loan with no dividends. It's a parlor game where you're giving chase. I guess it could be called an acquired taste. I know, he knows, he calls, I go. I know this could be an enchantment. So clearly this is she's making a play on, like, she's getting there's no gain out of this. The only gain is him. No matter what, she always finds herself going back because she's under a spell. Because he has the keys to her altar. He has the keys to her altars. And she says in the last verse, which is the hook again, why don't you tell me I'm forgiven? He calls, don't know how I fell under his spell. I'm forgiven. Lately, I've been driven. He smiles, and I give in. An enchantment. Beautiful song once again. Now, there's just one part that I wanted to go back over real quick with you guys. Right? Once again, art is an imitation of reality. And a lot of the times, they're telling you a story through art that is their reality. You understand? So a lot of the times, once again, they're telling you a message. And if you're able to decode it, and if you're able to see what's going on or what's in your face, then you'll be able to depict the picture too, man. Now, it's this stanza, or the last verse, where it says, it's the kind of sleepwalk that never ends. So this entire verse is, literally her referring to her being into the programming and her being a monarch butterfly. So it's the kind of sleepwalk that never ends. They're referred to as butterflies once again because, they're quote unquote dizzy all the time. Right? Or not dizzy all the time. When they're going through their electroshock therapy and ritual abuse, it feels like buzzing, and they're dizzy all the time. So it's talking about, it's the kind of sleepwalk that never ends because he's her, especially when he's around, the enchantment that he has on her. He has access to her altar, so a lot of the times he can call or say her trigger phrase, right? And it can get her right back in character, or get her right in the mood, or whatever the case may be, right? They have trigger phrases, things of this nature, even like they call sleep assassins, right? So there's a trigger phrase that he can say that can remind her of the programming or the trauma that she's had and that she's been through and experienced. Extremely similar to what we saw with Cardi B on the red carpet, right? It's a part of the game where you're giving chase, right? As she goes on to say, yes, it could be called an acquired taste. Now, what she's talking about is because the dude's probably an ugly ass dude, right? You know, I'm pretty sure a lot of women have probably been there too, right? But she's saying it could be called an acquired taste because, you know, she grew up in the programming under the ritual abuse and the electroshock therapy and, you know, the days and weeks of, you know, food and sleep deprivation and things of this nature, because this is what goes on behind closed doors, especially the ones that were raised in the programming. Now, this is probably going to be the end of part one. Yeah, this is probably going to be the end of this one right here, and we're going to follow up on part two. So I'll see y'all. Peace.